Well, we've now got the wings on, we have the struts in, and I've knocked this windshield off so many times I'm going to leave it off till the end, so I'm going to put that very, very safely in my pin box so I can remember where I've left it. So now we've got the wings on, the struts are in. Okay, so we're going to concentrate next on the tail. Now the tail needs to be square on with the wings. I had a bit of a dip going this way, so I used the iron. I slightly bent up this side. I applied the heat where the wrinkles began, and that's brought the tail plane back. Now with the tail plane, what I did was I glued in the hinges into the tail plane here and here and here in 4 places, and then what I did, I double checked that this would fit on, which it does. And then what I did then, it's a little trick that I use, I'm not saying everybody should do it, but I put a bit of Vaseline right on the very joint, and then I put the glue in, and then I fit the tail plane on. Now just be aware, if you're using Sino, this will set very quickly, so you've got to get it in, boom, one go. If you're not confident get it in one go, use a lower setting time for your glue. Okay, and then because the Vaseline's there, that won't stick to there, and that means that can move up and down. Now I've not glued in the tail plane just yet because I can foresee a problem before it happens, and that is getting that wire to hook round onto the horn, which I've already glued in. Now that horn is there, see it there? Now I can see that becoming a problem, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that wire in. I'm not going to tighten it up, but I will cut it to more or less average length, and then take the tail off, hook that in, put the tail back on, and then that'll be in. And I'll do the same with the rudder. As previously stated, I'll put the horn on the rudder, I'll put the decals on, and that's working quite well so far. Not forgetting your bottom hinge, because that's very important. If you forget that, you'll be stuck. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now, is get that control line in. Now I've got the rod through the snake, call it the snake, which now goes back to the horn, which is now secured on the elevator. That comes all the way through to here. Now this gives me adjustment. I can adjust that. So obviously I'm not going to cover the bottom until I've got the radio fully working. You may observe that these 2 wires here go to the servos in the wings. Okay, so they come through. Now temporarily I'll stuff all the cables in here, but obviously when we come to fly the model, these servos must be free to move, so we've got to tidy up the entanglement of wires there at some point. Now while I have this all uncovered and upside down, we're coming back to these formers here which have broken. Now the reason these are broken is the grain is running from top to bottom, and the grain should be running that way, left to right, to give it strength. So before I cover it, I'm going to put some strengtheners in here. Part of that reason is not just to give it strength when it's flying, etc., but when it lands and so forth and so forth. But obviously when I come to cover this, the shrink film will shrink, forcing this together like this, and it will probably break again. That's how delicate they are. So I'm going to reinforce these before I cover it. Well, if I remember to, which I should. I think. So that's where we're at, and that's how that linkage is going to work. There's your adjustment there, and you'll be able to adjust everything before you cover it, so all the radio works and you're confident with it. And then when all that's in place, you can then with confidence put the shrink film on the bottom and then apply your landing gear. Hope that makes sense. Just a quick tip here. I'm gluing on the fin for the rudder. I'm using the white PVA glue because it takes a little while to go off, and the reason is if you get your right angle and put it on the very end, let's see if I've got this in, yeah, it's in shot, the very end of the fin, and get a 90 degrees with your elevator, you're going to get somewhere near. You can get it to eye, however, tools never lie, and that's how I'm achieving that. And as it goes off, as the glue goes off, I'm keeping an eye on it. So then you get a nice straight fin ready for your rudder. Now with the rudder, I've cyanoed in the hinges, so I've got plenty of material left to go into there. And I have to do it this way around because of the bottom hinge. Don't forget that bottom hinge has to go in. Yeah, it's really important you get that right, because you will get into a bit of a situation. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to glue that in. I've got to put the Vaseline on here, and hopefully that'll all set nice and straight, and I'll get the cabling. Okay. Right, supplemental. Now, as you know, I've put the decals on the rudder, and they don't stick too well. You know, they're just coming off. So, you know, even in the instructions that come with it, it does say that you might want to use some mica set. Well, being as I'm a hobbyist, I mean, I've got some mica set here. And I'm going to try and get this onto the back as much as I can of this decal, and then let you know how it, you know, turns out. I haven't really got the right size brush with me. I do have brushes, but you know, it's going through boxes and everything else, so for such a small thing. So I'm gonna let that go all the way through and put it all over. There's a chance this might bubble up, I don't know, but basically it's gone all through the back. It's scribbled on the deck there. So, and I've got to try and do this both sides. This side isn't so bad, but you know, it's going to come off. As sure as apples grow on trees, and you really got to try and get it on the underneath. Whether it's going to happen, I don't know. Let it go all the way down. Oop, ripped in it. Yeah. So I don't know. This is the only solution I've got, and I don't really know how that's going to work out. We've still got the wings to do yet. This little piece has come away. What a disaster. Well, that's the joys of making models, I suppose. Although it is frustrating because, you know, pay a lot of money for this. You expect the standards to be good. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Excuse me. I'll give you an update on that. I'll leave it for a little while. I don't know how that's going to turn out, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Okay. See you in a few minutes. There we are. Due to some previous works, I have made the undercarriage and slotted that in temporarily. I've got the rudder on. I have connected it. I've got the skid on the back, which was no problem at all. As I said, I'm going to leave the windshield till a little bit later because I just keep knocking it off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just forget about the ailerons just for a little while. I want to mark up the struts there so they look more realistically like wood. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read the rest of the manual to find out anything I may have missed, things I've got to do next, plan what I'm going to do next. But it's looking like an aircraft. So if you got this far with me, thank you for watching, very much appreciated. And today's Christmas Day, so this is the Christmas present to myself. Merry Christmas, God bless us everyone. Okay, stepping forward just a couple of steps, not far away because I'm in the aircraft's just about finished now. Balancing your propeller. Now, most times when you get your propeller, they're okay, you know, they're not too bad. You can put them on and not worry about it too much. But obviously you want to run up your motor with the propeller on it to see how it is. And I saw a slight vibration here. So I thought, right, okay, I'm not quite happy with that. The propeller's not running quite true. I did have to put a 5mm drill bit through the centre so I could get it onto the spindle there. I just spent about, I don't know, 35-40 minutes balancing this out, and I thought, well, it's about time I showed you what I'm doing and why. Now you'll see the one blade is ever so slightly now dropping down on the one side, this side here, okay. Now it was somewhere like that when I started, and you have to take your time. Now what you do with these things is, I can't remember how much I paid for this, I've had it some time now, but basically you spin your prop like that, okay. Some people may want to mark whatever side drops so they don't lose where they are with it, but generally you know which side it is. So as you can see, it stopped in the same place. So what I've done is I've used an 800 grade glass paper. Now you can use a rougher grade. I found by experience that if you do that, you can take too much off in one go, and it's better to be patient with the propeller, because you do want it to be balanced, you do want it to run smooth. Yeah, you know, you're excited, you wanted to get it going, but often I found patience will help out. One thing you can do is put it on the level surface, make sure that's nice and level. You can do that. As you can see, it's nice and level, and that is basically how you balance your prop. But before I leave you with that, when you use glass paper on it, use it on the trailing edge, not the leading edge, because these are designed in a specific way to cut through the air. So you sandpaper or glass paper the trailing edge, and you just give it a few wipes, you know, put it on, give it a turn, and just keep doing that Now, you know, where it was about to rest now, in actual fact, that's probably okay. You could probably live with that. There you go. You could probably live with that. But I'm going to give it another 2-3 minutes, I think, just to get it absolutely spot on. But don't try and get it absolutely perfect, because you'll probably end up taking too much off and having to go the other side, and then it just takes twice as long. So that's my topical tip. Well, guess what I've just broken? Look at those two mounts arrived, huh? Right, this is not finished, it's far from finished. I've still got the pilot to finish off. Just so in case you're interested, this is the pilot. What you do is, if you can get hold of some real oil paint, this is brown ochre, brush it on, get a washing up sponge, dab it all the way over, and it gives you a realistic leather effect. The face is a bit of brown ochre and some white, put that on, mix it together, put a bit of white on the nose and under the cheeks, a sort of a browny red for the lips, and the eyes. I'm pretty sure you can figure that out. And to finish the pilot off, I'll be putting some silver foil in the goggles, and then putting some epoxy resin in there to make it look like glass. So there you go. It just depends what you got to paint with and tools available and stuff like that. But anyway, the pilot doesn't fit. You have to cut his arms off so to get him into the cockpit. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this now is because I want to get this part out of the way, because I want to move on to putting the decals on and everything else and securing everything. But basically speaking, what we have the ailerons working, and we have the elevator working, we have the rudder working, and I'll have to hold the tail plane for this one. We have the throttle working. Okay, so you've got a lot of thrust there, the props in balance and everything's working. The balance point for the CG is on this main spar. You go for underneath. I put some stickers on there, some CG stickers, and that is not badly out of balance at all. I'll probably accept it. Well, maybe a little bit of weight in the front perhaps, but it's not far out. So essentially, you know, everything's as it should be. I've still got to put the exhausts on, I've still got to put the decals on, but I just wanted to get this part out of the way because, you know, I want to crack on. And I might break another mount. But anyway, there you go. So everything's done apart from the decals and the smokestacks, and making sure the CG, the centre of gravity, is absolutely correct. And I'm thinking about using some thread, elasticated thread, to put some cable wires in and everything else. So I'm hoping the next time, next video will be it's finished. So there we are. Okay, so it can be done. You can do it. It will work. There you go. Yeah. I don't know whether it's going to fly or not. You're going to need a very still day. I don't know whether I'm going to do a flying video of this, because normally you get guys on YouTube and they throw the model in the air and it flies and it just turns into a dot. It's a bit like watching golf, you know. It's pointless because you can't see anything. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this will fly. Depends if I can find anybody down the model club with a decent camera that is prepared to spend some time and show you how it flies and how good it is, or how bad it is, or if it crashes first go. I won't put the gun on top just yet until I've done the maiden flight. Once I've done the maiden flight and it flies, I'll put the gun on top, which has all been painted up and everything. So we're not far away. Another brief supplemental with the ailerons. Now what I've done is I've put a Z bend through the top there, and I actually measured this off, you know, more largely by eye. Obviously you can't put a Z bend here, and you can't just leave it with an L bend, so I put a little nut in there and glued it in. So you can now see how everything connects. There's the servo to the bottom aileron. This rod connects to the top aileron, and they move great, no problem at all. I did get the measurements right first go, but that was more luck than judgment, I guess. But you'll if you do it the same way, be prepared to make 2 or 3 because you might just get it wrong. But that's how it all connects. So you know, again, there's a servo horn on the aileron. Aileron pushes the top aileron. No need for a horn at the top, it's just the bottom. And if I'm being honest, I think it kind of adds something to the model. Anyway, there you go.